Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey, everybody, it's Craig with Final Score on Podcast City Network, and I have brought on one of the hardest working sports podcasters that is out there right now, Chris LeBron of the Off the Ball podcast. Chris, thanks so much for joining the show.
Craig, thank you for having me on, brother. It's been we've been trying to make this happen for a little bit, and I'm happy to be on and ready to roll.
Yeah, I'm happy we can finally get you on. You know, with the coronavirus pandemic and everything, we're planning on getting you on right in March, and then everything shut down. We're starting to slowly back up, whether open back up, whether it's smart or not. But how are things going with you in New York?
Yeah, man. Obviously, New York got hit really, really, really hard. So it's been a crazy few months, but just trying to stay sane, trying to keep it, trying to keep going day by day, and just follow the regulations and what they telling us, and just making the best of it. There's nothing more you can do. There's nothing I can do. You just gotta take it day by day, and just little by little. They're opening up a little bit more here and there, and so it's getting a little bit back. Thank God it's warm out, and so you can even with everywhere wearing a mask, you could still go out a little bit, but not seeing basketball hoops suck. That's depressing. They literally took down every basketball hoop imaginable. Like, luckily my downstairs landlord, they have a basketball hoop back here, so if I want to shoot, I can shoot here. But not seeing basketball hoops in New York City, that's like that's like seeing
that should be illegal. Like, it should be.
Not seeing a basketball hoop in New York City is just absolutely crazy. But we got to take this serious. We got like crazy numbers. Like I said, we got a lot of cases. But just taking it day by day, man. It's just just follow the rules and see what happens. Hopefully we get back to some type of normalcy in the next couple of weeks or whatever.
Yeah, it's the best you can do right now. But so hey, let's talk about your podcast a little bit. And you just released yesterday as actual Thursday this would be. Thursday, episode 54, and just rolling down some of the lists. Obviously the Baser podcast, you yourself, big Knicks fan, and not only just about basketball, but a lot of other things as well. But basketball is kind of the main focus there. And some of the people I've seen and heard listening to your episodes, it's quite impressive. I mean, you have people from The Athletic. I see you have a lot of draft prospects coming on.
Yeah, I just got my third one yesterday. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah.
Talking Knicks, NBA redrafts, those are really fun podcasts to listen to. I enjoy those.
Yeah. I'm working on doing a few more because a lot of people tell me that they like doing that. But the NBA draft prospect stuff has been fun. I think I got a couple more lined up in the next coming weeks, so I'm looking forward to doing more of those. But yeah, it's just fun. I've kind of pretty much made it like a just me hosting. I never planned it to be that way, but I just saw that I kind of like the hosting, and I'm not really that type of person to talk in an interview. I've never been like a good speaker and then be like a host type, but I just saw the way I was doing it, and it kind of just happened on accident. You just get a guest, and then you realize okay, I'm pretty much the host, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like the banter back and forth. I've done solo shows, but I like bouncing off people and just having that interaction I think it's more organic. It's more, for me, it's just more fun. So I've kind of based it like that. But as far as getting guests and stuff, I mean, I never thought I would get any type of a guest. When I first started, I was like, who's going to want to come on my show? And, you just, you send out DMs, you send out emails, and, 3 out of 10 times, I might hit, and the other 7 times I'll get left on red, or I'll just won't get an email back. But it's a part of the game, it's part of the process. So, I got lucky. I hit up a few NBA draft guys, and, they're like, yeah, come on, cool. Yes, I love that, they could come to my show and they're a draft prospect, they could potentially be a player, but it also, I feel like it could help them too in a way, and maybe, grow their, people get more eyes on them. And I've seen that it's happened. I've seen their social media, get a little bigger, and people realize, oh, wow, that guy can, like my first guy, Asasu, he led the country on blocks. Most people wouldn't never heard of him.
Yeah.
So I felt like maybe, my platform, I helped, maybe get him, a lot of people to, and people hit me up like, yo, he led the country in blocks. Like, oh yeah, man, yeah, he's a versatile. He's a big, he can move, he has like a Serge Ibaka type play to him. And that was fun. And then I had a Eugene Herman, who could score. He was an All-American. He was a all-conference player, averaged 20 points a game his sophomore, junior, and senior year. And so, that was a fun conversation. And I also like talking about, the journey. Because, it's one thing to just go X's and O's. And I've seen all these guys do X's and O's. And Leslie Martin, too, I had on yesterday. Great story, too. But it's one thing to talk about X's and O's and get into all that. And it's like, okay, we can do that. But I was like, I didn't want to make it about that. It's not, right. I'm not trying to do X's and O's. And I could, but I was like, I want to know about your story. To me, that's more intriguing. Knowing about, okay, where'd you come from? How'd you get there? And just everyone's story is different. Some of these guys weren't highly recruited, and they go from struggling their freshman year, and most of these guys were like, I might have to transfer, and then just feeling, okay, I'm just gonna play it out, and all 3 of these guys it worked out for, and they all became success. So I love the storytelling to it. To me, that's fun. So that's something that I'm big on. Is finding, learning about their story before, and just talking about that during the show. It's been fun doing all that.
That's awesome. I know that storytelling aspect. Not only is our platform here is we're just guys talking about sports, and 10, 15 years ago, you had to be on an ESPN, a Fox Radio, even before Sirius XM came about, like you had to be on your local radio station. Mm-hmm. But now I think the awesome part about you talking about, like, well, you're seeing how, why would these people want to come onto your podcast? Not only will it bring, you never know who's tuning in now, and it's available for everybody.
Exactly.
And so the fact that their story could be heard by listening to your interview, or even someone, like you said, people are, whoa, he led the league, the country in blocks. Yeah, he did. Like that's one of the positives and awesome things I think about our technology and just the way that things have kind of grown. But I'd be curious, what made you get into podcasting? What made you want to get into sports podcasting?
It's crazy. I've dabbled in it years ago, maybe, because I'm 31. I probably started it probably like 7 years ago, my first try at it. And I had a co-host, and we just didn't work. It didn't work out. Scheduling, I'm sure how it feels, trying to work out schedules with your co-host, and that could sometimes be difficult. And we just could never get the same schedules. And, we kiboshed that. Yeah. Tried it again and just couldn't get the rhythm. And then recently, I've been doing this for a year with this podcast, and I just said, let me just try to do it. Let me have a plan, because sometimes when you just go into a raw, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Yep. And you're like, all right, I should have done that. So this time, planned it out as much as I can, trying to figure out, okay, I got to get a mic, got to blah, blah, blah. But, I didn't get a mic. I didn't get anything. I just started talking on the computer and just did that. And that's how I started. And then I just, I would go on and off. Work was a killer. you know, it was the travel was, you know, 2 hours to work, 2 hours back. So it was just a grind. I was like, I'll get home tired. So I'll go on and off for like a few months. And then around December, I moved closer to my job, 15 minutes away from my job. So it kind of was like, you know, I get home early. I'm like, okay, I'm not tired. I can actually like work on it. So that's when I started getting good mics, getting all this. And I really went, so I would say from like December till now is when I've been really just nonstop. Like, okay, I'm putting all my effort into it. And, you know, it's, you know, like, you know, like with anything, you put time and effort into it, you'll see some type of success, whatever it is. You know, I'm not saying I'm super successful, but I feel like I've turned something from nothing to a little bit of something. You know, I feel like a little something. I've created a little, you know, buzz, a little, you know, and, you know, learning from all the, you know, these podcast Facebook groups, and I didn't know there was a huge podcast community on Twitter. I mean, I didn't existed, like, you know, and that's awesome because, you know, we like we said, you always think about ESPN, Fox News, CBS, you know, Sirius XM. Those are the places you kind of consume podcasting and radio, but just a whole nother world of talented creators that exist and people don't know about it. And you know, luckily, you know, be able to network with guys like you and a whole bunch of other guys, and, you know, learning from everyone. And it seems like in the community, like you're in the part of that community, we're all, it's like everyone looks out for each other. Everyone,
absolutely,
learn from it. No one's trying to, you know, we're not trying to beat numbers. Oh, I want to beat his, you know, trying to be better than him. It's like everyone helps each other. And I think that just helps everyone get better. And, you know, that's just awesome. So, you know, I've learned so much from podcasting, you know, learning how to edit, because you know how it is, a grind to edit. Once you gotta do the pre-production, you gotta make sure you got all your notes right, especially if you're doing having a guest, making sure you know what you're talking about, you know, make sure, you know, you get the prop, you know, the name. That's the one thing with my first guest, Asasu Asaiga. I finally just now figured out how to say it. And I'm like, that was the one thing I was stressing. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, how do I say his name? So I would go on YouTube and like find a highlight clip, and they would say his name, and I would just like repeat like on loop for like the whole day. I'm like, all right, Asasu Asaiga, and I'm just figuring out. So that was my biggest. But other than that, man, you know, just learning from so many people and just improving the podcast little by little, adding, you know, upgrading a mic, whether it's upgrading software, just learning that stuff. And, you know, like I said, man, it's been fun doing this, man. I'm just, you know, I wish the world was open. You know, I wish we were allowed to go outside and, you know, maybe interact, you know, especially with some of the local people here. But, man, it's fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more with the show.
Yeah, even we've been doing our show for about a year also, but ours is kind of a little different than a normal podcast. We do all ours live, basically. Majority of all of our stuff is live. So yeah, you talk about learning curve. Like, I know you've like literally, you know, we go through and we find other people that are going to be just as passionate about this stuff as we are, so that, you know, we can kind of help each other. I mean, there's stuff that we don't all know everything. So it's great. Like, our community, the sports podcasters community, everybody absolutely willing to help each other out. If they don't know somebody, usually they're like, well, I can't do this, but I can connect you with this person. Exactly. And it's awesome. Like, it's great to see this age that we live in, where all these people, we can do these things that we love, and we can just do it. We have the access to do it.
Yeah. So, thank God for the way, you know, the internet and just, you know, there's so many talented people, the creators, and, you know, I've been luckily being able to find. I found some NBA draft guys that aren't on ESPN that know just as much. Yeah. You know, it's crazy. And NFL draft guys, and it's crazy. Like, man, these people. You know, I talk. You know, having these people on my podcast, I'm like, I have one guy in particular, Ethan Piota. He's an NBA drafted, and he's brilliant. And he's a young kid in college, and he's brilliant. Like, I'm talking about, like, I was like, dude, like, you're good. Like, you're not. I'm not just saying that. Like, no, you're good. Like, you know stuff. And he's probably 19 years old, and he's better than half these other guys that are making millions talking about it on ESPN. And BBS and all that. So I think that's also fun, finding guys and and seeing how talented people are, like, and just they just haven't gotten noticed yet. But and that
Yeah.
that's so much talent on.
Absolutely. Who's been your favorite episode, or at least your favorite guest so far?
Favorite guest? I had on a gentleman. Was it Michael Lazenby? Michael Lazenby? Let me get his correct name before I mess it up. But Roland Lazenby. My apologies. Roland Lazenby, and he wrote the book about Michael Jordan called The Life.
Oh,
And
yes, I saw that.
yeah, this that I got a lot of great feedback with it, and that was one interview where I really, like, I left work early to make sure that, because this one I was like, this is really important to me. It was one I took serious. I was like, this is a big time author, and he wrote books about Jordan and Kobe, and he's working one on Magic Johnson. He's wrote one about Jerry West, and he actually wrote about the Last Dance, that last year of the Bulls. He wrote about that.
Really?
So he's like a really well respected author. But just the interview, he was so cool. First of all, I was really worried, like, maybe he just want to do like 10 minutes, and he's like, no, go, just talk. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And we talked for like an hour, but it was just the knowledge, like, and I've read his book, and he gets very detailed about Jordan, and it's not just about his playing career. He gets into so much, and he talks about how he spent time with Michael Jordan, and he spent time with Kobe Bryant, because he wrote, like I said, he wrote the book about Kobe. And there's one part in particular that still to this day it gets me. He talks about Jordan and Kobe, and they both had a coach that both coached Jordan and Kobe. I can't remember the name, but he talks about that, and he talks about an instance where Kobe wants the coach to come up to California and help him get through some playing, coach him up a little bit about whatever. And so he goes up there, and then while Roland talks about it, he says he would fly up to LA, and then they would go on that damn helicopter, the same helicopter, unfortunately, Kobe passed away in. But the way he said it with such anger that you felt, and I felt it, like, I was like, I goosebumps. I had legit goosebumps. And I remember just like, whoa, like taking a second, like, he was like, that damn helicopter they went on. And it was like, because he's like that same helicopter that Kobe passed away, and that's the same one they would go on. I would say, just be careful. And it's like, oh no, it's fine. I do this all day. This is how I travel quick. And unfortunately, it's the same one that Kobe, unfortunately passed away in.
Yeah.
But it was just a powerful, like, it just, and a lot of people hit me up. It was like, yo, I felt that. I felt that. Like, it's very rare that you feel like something that you remember. And just when he said it like 2-3, like a couple times. But I could. It's like I know he said he had his fist in a, he was
clenched fist. Yeah.
His fist, and he was just like that damn helicopter, and you just felt it because he was close to Kobe too.
Yeah.
He had a lot of stories. That's another book I have to get into. But yeah, that's one of my favorites, just because it was just he's filled with so much knowledge. There was so many great stories to talk about with Jordan, and like I said, that part was so powerful, man. I think that's something I'll never forget.
Yeah,
but
I got goosebumps right now, actually, just hearing you redo it.
Even my girlfriend, and she's probably like the kitchen, and she was like,
yeah,
it was crazy. But yeah, that's got to be that's probably my number one as of now. I love all of them. All of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Them, but that one's definitely number one.
Yeah, that's definitely a special guest. That's fantastic. All right. Well, since we know the NBA is finally kind of sort of coming back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I want to hear your thoughts on how the NBA decided they want to come back, and how do you think it's going to affect the 22 teams that are, going to live in the bubble. They've been quoting it as the bubble in Orlando.
Yeah. I mean, today I was listening to a Michael K show, and they had Taylor Rooks on, and she had gotten, someone had told her that, things are looking a little dicey. It looked like it was a good to go, but now there's a lot of more players worried, and that bubble is kind of had a lot of holes in it, and it's not exactly, the bubble they think it was, and it kind of makes you think,
Yeah.
is this gonna happen? Like,
Yeah.
and it's crazy to think that we could possibly not have basketball and baseball.
Yeah.
And how does that affect football? And that, because that could trickle down.
Yeah.
Football, like, well, hold up. They're no, obviously baseball is for other reasons. It's not,
Right.
they're handling it, but basketball, they'll be like, okay, all right, we may have to rethink things, because this is. So, I was excited a couple days ago, and then today it was like, okay, this isn't good. And then Kyrie Irving, you heard Kyrie Irving, come, whether he was complaining or not, it's Kyrie, so we don't know. But
Right. Right.
but he was saying that, he's not hearing good, players are not feeling it. But then you hear other players say they are cool with it. So I'm like, I don't know if I should get excited again about who
Right.
again. So it's just, I don't know, man. And that's always been my thing is, yeah, of course we all want basketball back, but how are they going to handle, because it's not like I know the craziness. There's a lot of craziness in the world right now, but guess what? COVID's still around.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
in some states, in Florida, the numbers went back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's in Orlando, so
Yeah. I think that's part of the worry that's going on, because Florida is spiking a little bit with the cases of COVID, and some of those players, you got to wonder, is it players that are on like the Bucks or like the Suns? Like,
it also depends.
Yeah.
If it's the 10th, 11th, 12th man that are complaining, it's a different, then it's, you have to actually look at the who.
Right.
If it's LeBron James and it's Giannis and it's, Luka Doncic and it's, top
Top guys.
Leonard, then, that trumps anything,
Right.
So if they're not willing to play, then that's big. And it starts with LeBron too. If LeBron's hearing from people, I don't care what Kyrie Irving says.
Right.
I care what LeBron James says. Kyrie,
Right.
I know he's the player, he's the president. I don't care. If LeBron says, I don't want to play, then everyone's going to be like, okay, he doesn't want to play, and he has a lot to lose because he's going for a championship, then I don't want to play. And I think that'll trickle down, and that's going to be the issue. If the King don't want to play, there will not be basketball. If he wants to play, they'll try to figure it out, but it's still it's tough. This is, people are worried about, worried about their health, because it's not just them. It's they got to go home to their family, and what if their family catches it? Because that was the one thing when I talked about that is how they handled, dealing with COVID, and there's not just the players we're talking about. There's coaches. There's training staff. There's a lot of people, a lot of parts to this team other than just the players,
Yeah.
So I think that's the one thing I worried about. And today's news didn't really put me in a good place. So I hope tomorrow, or tonight, whatever. I heard that tonight they're having a call. So maybe we'll get more news by tonight or maybe tomorrow morning. But, that definitely didn't make me feel good about, something going on, because, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to see how they handle.
It's got to be tough on those players, because they can only have a small handful of family with them, and most of them are going to be across country. Like, they're pulling people, the players that live and play in like California, like the Lakers, they got to come all the way to Florida without their families. But I think part of it is, I've been a proponent to just scrap the season, give it a real off season, then just wait till next year, because we don't know what's going to happen with COVID by October when the new season's supposed to start.
And that's supposed to be the second wave too.
Right. But there's I realize there's so much money involved by the NBA.
When they say it's not about money, it's
about
the money.
I mean, just look at MLB. Look at baseball.
See what they're doing, and they're making it look ugly. Like they're showing themselves, and that's not how you handle it. We know it's about money, obviously.
Right.
But you got to be. I'm sure the NBA players are doing the same thing with the owners, and they're complaining it's the money thing too. But They're just not letting it come out in the way. Baseball's just telling it like it's like they're tattling on each other, and it's just making it look bad. Basketball, Silva has everything more under control, and he's like, okay, guys, I know. And for the most part, they've gotten most of their money. So it would just be like, I think they're missing like one check or so because they kind of got all their money. I mean, it's only like 10, 12 games that they miss. But, it's always about money. It's always going to be about money. And because now the salary cap's going to be very different for next year. It's going to change. It's going to go down a lot. So that changes a lot of free agents. It's going to change for because if you're Anthony Davis or something like that, free agent, you might think second about playing. You might be like, I don't want to mess up my money because there might not be that money might not be there. So if I get hurt playing in this playoff and get playing, they're going to be like, all right, we don't got money to pay, blah, blah, and that's a wrap. So a lot of these, especially like the Anthony Davis probably is going to get paid no matter what.
Right.
But, for especially this free agent class, it's not a really big time free agent class like others years before. So for those free agents that usually get overpaid and you're like, those guys that, Harrison Barnes, they get $80 million, that money might not be there. So, so it's going to be interesting to see. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was actually one of the next things I wanted to ask is, you kind of rolled right into it with this is going to affect obviously this year and, getting back to play and just getting back to the first couple weeks are probably going to be sloppy. But then looking into the offseason, they're basically going to have the lottery during the playoffs, and then they're going to have the draft like in October right after the finals are done. So how do you think that affects, the draft process? Because they didn't do a draft process this year, really. And how do you think it affects the free agency and the draft process?
I mean, it starts all the way from March Madness for these kids coming out because, we've seen guys like Kemba Walker have a tremendous tournament, conference tournament, and then go to the NCAA tournament and destroy it and win the championship. And he becomes a top 10 pick where he probably would have been maybe the end of the first round. So he, he bumped himself big time. And we've seen this year in, year out. We see guys and, we look at a team like Dayton that could have been, Obi Toppin could have, solidified being the number one pick if he had it. And because most likely he would have had a pretty good tournament because he was just on a roll and he was just playing great. So that hurts. That hurts a lot of these kids because you don't get that exposure for your conference tournament because pretty much COVID started right with the beginning of a lot of conference tournaments. So you didn't even get to play your conference tournament at least to get some film there, to see how you play in big games, So that's what I asked a lot of these prospects because, there's a lot of these guys said, yeah, we got on the court and they said, that's it. And like, damn. And they're all and the three guys were seniors. So you're senior and that's it. So you can't get those extra games of film to bump you from a, maybe undrafted to get you in the second round where, at least get an opportunity, to play, get drafted at least, or maybe you're a fringe second round pick that could be a first. Now they're just gonna have to watch the film and just judge it off that instead of maybe upgrading. So I think that's gonna suck. And then no combine hurts because you can't interview and all that, and that sucks too. Is you can't get private workouts. You're not gonna be able to talk to these. You could do Zoom and all that, but it's always better to go in person and you get a better feel of someone like that, of a player. So those things are gonna hurt for the draft, but it's more going to hurt the guys, late, after the lottery and into like second and, whoever's, the LaMelo Balls, the Toppins, those guys, the Wisemans, those guys are fine. They're going to be drafted wherever. But, I feel bad for the guys, after the lottery and stuff. Cause, like I said before, man, we've seen guys have a tremendous tournament and they go from, late first round, second round, and they go become a lottery pick. So that's the really sad part about all this.
Yeah. So speaking of the draft, and we don't really know how or when it's going to happen yet, but there's some top guys that are talking about going. You've got who's it? Anthony Edwards, Georgia. Coming out. Wiseman, you already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Who's somebody that people should be paying attention to, or maybe might, at least from what you've been kind of having through your interviews and who you've been talking to, do you have maybe a little tidbit of maybe a surprise of somebody that might be looking out for?
I mean, Leslie Vaynard, who I talked to yesterday, he's an intriguing prospect. He's athletic. He's versatile. He's 6'7", 210 pounds. He could score. He could shoot the three really well. I think he shot over 38% from three. He's someone that's been rising, and I've heard from multiple people he's been rising. Possibly, he probably went from being undrafted to start of the season to possibly being a second round pick. So that he's definitely an intriguing guy that that very he's improved so much. He was all WAC first team. It would have been fun to see how he did in the tournament, but he's someone. And also, and not just because I invented you, but the other Eugene Herman, I mean, he's a bucket. He could score. And sometimes you just need a guy that could just flat out just score. And he's another guy that could just score at will. He averaged 20 points a game the last 3 years. And, that's why I wanted to interview those guys too, because, these are guys that are rising and getting more buzz, and he can handle the ball a little bit. His all-time league scorer in the school. So those are a couple guys, and also Asasu who led the country on blocks. Nobody's heard of him, and those are the guys that you got to try to find, those hidden gems.
Yep.
Those guys you can find the second round, stash a little bit, and then and grow. He's another guy. He's versatile. He started playing basketball late, so he's still growing as a player, and he's a versatile defender. Like I said, led the country on blocks per game. So he's another one that's a playing. But other guys I'm thinking about, Trey Jones from Duke. He's improved so much. He could play defense. He's improved as an offensive player too. He could pass a little bit. But those are some guys that that I'm really intrigued about.
Yeah, Trey Jones. You got to wonder, should he have come out last year instead of coming back for another year?
I think he made the right move.
Yeah,
I think he made the right move, because last year I think he would have been a second, maybe undrafted guy. I think he wasn't ready. This year he solidifies himself as a first round. He's going to be a first round pick. He's a tremendous defender, and he's improved so much offensively, and can really. He's a good floor general. He's definitely going to be a first round pick this year. Yeah,
definitely. I'm looking forward to watching that. So speaking of declaring early and things of that, I wanted to ask one more thing related to the draft. And we're seeing a really big wave lately of top high school recruits deciding either to go overseas or go through the NBA's new G League program that finally is being put into effect. How do you see the growth of that over the next few years versus maybe still going NCAA? March Madness is still March Madness. You get all that exposure you were talking about, and that's under the lights big time versus going straight to the NBA in this program. How do you see the growth of that program, or maybe do you see more guys going overseas still?
I think the G League thing is real, and that's definitely going to be an option for a lot of guys. And I think the NCAA is seeing that, and they're not happy because they saw look at Zion last year.
Yep.
We look at Zion and how much all the Duke games he was playing, they were must watch.
Yep.
They were must watch. They were getting crazy. President Obama showed up where he broke his shoe. He was there. So when the President Obama comes, it's big time.
Yeah.
So
even the shoe was a big story. The fact that he busted a shoe, the shoe company came under a lot of heat.
Exactly. People were talking about Nike and the Paul George shoe. I mean, Paul George shoe, it probably lost so much sales in that. The stock went down. Nike stock went down. Because of Zion, and it shows how big of a player he was. And so I think they're going to look at that and be like, if we continue to operate the way we're operating, we're not going to get those guys. And you need those guys for exposure, because as big of a school as Duke is, and they have all the, Coach K, the legendary Coach K, and all the great players they had, Zion going to Duke was massive for college basketball, and it helped his game too. He did benefit. And, as much as I get on the NCAA and for all their stupid rules and stuff, he did benefit, because let's say, he had gone straight from high school or he had went overseas or something. You're not going to hear about him that much overseas.
Yep.
You get lost over there, and they just coach differently. You're probably not going to play as many minutes because they don't play young guys over there.
Right.
As you see with guys like LaMelo and stuff, they don't play as much. So, he benefited a lot from going to college. He goes from maybe being a 4th, 5th pick in the draft from being the consensus number 1 pick. Like everyone's fighting, like the Knicks, everyone. That's why I'm so devastated, like as a Knicks fan, like because I want him so bad. But
yeah, the sheer excitement. Like I've been on for a while. I was on the train of Zion. He was a YouTube dunker.
Exactly,
like
yes.
Then watching him in college, it's like, well, he's playing against people that he shows athleticism, but he's playing against guys like you don't really know how he can do.
Exactly.
The first game I watched when he was knocking down threes left and right, I was like, okay, I believe now.
He's
like
a player, yeah.
this dude is more than just a dunker. Like, he can play.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited the fact that the Pelicans are involved in this 22 team restart.
Because the NBA wanted him, and
absolutely make it.
He's a megastar.
Yeah, I would love to see.
Yeah.
I would love to see that, and then Ja Morant and the Grizzlies are fighting for that 8th spot.
Yeah,
love to see both of those guys carry their teams to the playoffs.
Those 2 players, in college, Ja Morant was an unknown freshman.
Yeah,
he takes his sophomore year, he takes his game to another level. He's the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
So but the NCAA with their, I just look at the James Wiseman situation.
Yep.
How poorly that was handled. Like, come on. Like, I think that's ridiculous the way they handled the whole thing with that.
Yep.
And we've seen even with like Reggie Bush, like that whole thing with Reggie Bush.
That's been a big one too.
Come on. Like, really? You banned him for 10 years. You took away his Heisman Trophy. He's still the Heisman Trophy winner. Everyone's going to regard him as that.
Everyone knows that he was one of the greatest players of that generation of college football. Like, he's one of the best talents there.
Yeah. And just think about how much money USC made off Reggie Bush, the 5 jerseys, and, all the money going to games because people want to see Reggie Bush. Same thing with Duke with Zion. And, their rule, I mean, they just banned Oklahoma State. So now Cade Cunningham, who's the top prospect coming in this year, he won't even be in the tournament. Yeah. So if for him, he might just be like, man, forget this. I'm just going to go. I might just go, try to get a immediate transfer, or I might just go to G League.
Yeah.
So they're going to really hurt themselves if they continue this. That's why, I know Florida had just passed where you can make money off your likeness and stuff. So that's good for all the Florida schools, Florida, Miami, Florida State, all those Florida schools. That might give them a help in recruiting until all the other, I don't know how the other big states are doing, but
California passed, but they're not doing it for another year or so. Yeah. Florida decided, you know what, we're just going to expedite it. Next summer is when that goes into effect.
So that's a major in recruiting too. Like, guys, hey, you come here, you can make money right away.
Yeah. So. It's, you've been hearing the rumors about the Power 5 potentially trying to break away from the NCAA. Mm-hmm. I mean, the 2 biggest money makers, college football, college basketball. So, yeah, it's really going to be intriguing to see what the NCAA is going to do now that those NIL laws passed in Florida. California's right behind. I think other states are also in the mix of trying to bring those things in. So
they got to change up because they told Jalen Green was a big time prospect, and now that he's not going to go, that's a big eye opener. So I think the NCAA is looking at that like we can't lose the 5 stars. We love the that guys the guys who stayed 3-4 years. The JJ Redicks and all that, but getting those 5 stars, those big time, even if it's just for a year, man, it pays dividends. Like it helps Duke, RJ Barrett and them. It helps a lot. And even if it's just for a year, you get those dominant players playing for it. So, I think that caught their eye. Like, okay, all right, we finally we gotta be fair, guys. We gotta pay these. We're making millions and millions and billions, especially in the tournament.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll I thought that free education was good enough.
Right.
That free education, like everyone tries to put that. But they're getting a free education. Like, but they're hungry.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
so what good is that if I can't go get a slice of pizza, or else if I get a slice of pizza and the guy gives me on the house, guess what? The school gets in trouble. I can't play basketball and over a slice.
Yeah. I distinctly remember, obviously me being from Michigan, I'm a big Michigan fan, the Fab Five documentary and Chris Webber talking about it, or them talking about with Chris Webber, like he sees all these number 4 jerseys walking around Michigan, and he can't, he's got to beg the coaches to give him money for food. Like
that's not even moral. That's not even,
yeah,
not even morally right. Like and then when people throw like but they're getting a free education and all that, but it's like, if I can't eat and I see other people are eating and they're wearing my jerseys and I'm not getting any piece of that, does not, like, you could be a flute player. You could be in college. You can get and you can go play for whatever. I don't know what they do with flutes. They play in the orchestra.
Yeah.
You could make money off that. You could make $1 million and still be able to go to school with no issue. And we get for basketball and football, that's an issue. And it becomes a big issue where, we're looking down at these kids like, oh, Reggie Bush is a jerk. Why'd he do all that? Well, I mean, people are throwing money at me. Yeah, I'm.
Yeah.
And you also have to bring in, look at these people's a lot of these kids' situations. They come from inner cities. Yeah. If I'm throwing a $500K at you, I mean, if it helps my family right now, because not all these guys are going to be going to the NBA or the NFL,
right?
Especially in college football, you got to wait 3-4 years before you can go. So if you're throwing 500, some of these crazy numbers that some of these boosters are I'm sorry. My family needs it. You're going to give them a house? Yeah, I'm going to take it. And why is that bad? Why do I just, man, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's insane that people, it's insane that, because I'm always on the side of, the players, you got to take, if there's someone's giving it to you, like, take advantage of it while you can, because it's not guaranteed. I mean, look at, you look at some guys that maybe they go down with an injury and now all of a sudden their career is
and they could lose their scholarship, and the scholarship could be
the school could pull their scholarship right away, and like, oh, you got hurt, like, we're pulling it, and now they're stuck and they can't even play anymore, which is what they're known for, and now they're stuck. Oh yeah, by the way, now if you still want to go to the school, we need $20,000 this year if you want to stay here.
Yeah.
Like, it's I get it. Like, I get why people do it. And you mentioned, like, some of the people's situations, like, some of them are coming in, they didn't have parents, whether they're alive or not, or their situation was so bad that they're getting into sports to get away from the circle of, the cycle of what their community was for. So
exactly, yeah.
It's
especially in college football a lot, because obviously you have to wait 3 years before you can enter the draft, or wait 4 years before you enter a draft. So you see a lot of those situations. That's why you see a lot more college football players get a lot more trouble.
Yep.
Because you got to wait. As in college basketball, you could just do a semester, and if you're good enough, you can go pro. So it kind of but in college football, it's a lot different. And when you see coaches like Nick Saban and Harbaugh making $8-9 million, and the players aren't getting any, that just it just doesn't feel right. That you can make you could be the Nick Saban's the highest paid employee in all of Alabama.
Yep.
He got his boat. They do all these documentaries with him. He's on his freaking boat, his yacht or whatever. He's chilling, and the players are probably going over trying to eat dollar mac and cheeses and can't even ask for a piece. That just doesn't even feel right.
I do like how some coaches, they will go out of their way to do things on their own dime for the players, because they know what kind of situations they're in, and so you always like to see those. But yeah, it's insane. Like,
the whole system messed up.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, it's got to change, but slowly but surely, it's changing. And I think that's what these NIL laws are finally going to accomplish. It's going to be great. I would love for college sports to see the influx of talent come down here, because college sports is already insane down here.
I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, so that would help us, because we've been struggling of late. We've been struggling of late, we need a quarterback too. But
we live nearby UCF, and UCF has been a big program the last couple of years. So
they've been doing good lately.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see players finally take advantage of that system that's been taking advantage of them for so long.
Yep.
But hey, let's tell everybody where they can find out about Off the Ball Podcast and where they can find you, Chris.
Yes, Off the Ball Podcast. So I'm on all social media. I'm on Twitter, on Instagram, Off the Ball Pod. I got a Facebook page, Off the Ball Podcast. You can find me there. I'm very active on Twitter and Instagram. So, hit me up there, follow me. I'm always always saying something, especially about my unfortunate my New York Knicks. So I'm always talking. I'm always on there. You can find the podcast. The podcast is available on all podcast platforms: Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. I do also do some YouTube stuff when I do some live video. So I'm actually the last interview I'm gonna actually work on that tomorrow and have that up on YouTube. So I just redesigned my website, theofftheballpodcast.com. So I write some articles from here and there on there, and have some guys help me out. Some of my friends help me out write some stuff, and I got merch on the way, which I'm really excited about. I got hats and shirts. I got wristbands too on the way.
Yes.
Super excited about that. That's been something I've been really focusing on. I haven't done as much podcast. I usually probably do a couple a week. Now it's been kind of one because I've been really focusing on, trying to get, the designs and making sure, the production is all, ready to go. So hopefully I'll have those out in the next few weeks. So, but that's it, man. I'm just, I'm also doing a lot of NBA draft stuff. I'm a big draft nerd, so I'm working on my own, doing all my, I've been doing a lot of international guys right now. That's what I've been focused on, but, working on doing my own, big board. I'll maybe have that in the next week, but yeah. That's where you can find me. I'm just, I'm having fun doing this, man. It's definitely been a fun ride so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know having all that time now, it's definitely been a blessing for you. You, like I said, you are got to be one of the hardest working sports podcasters that I've seen and know of. So
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. You can find this interview, of course, is going to be posted on our YouTube page. You can find us on social media at FinalScore. It's at PCN FinalScore, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and on YouTube. Chris, thank you so much for joining, and we'll look forward to having you on again soon, man.
Yes. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate being on, man. You guys do great work too. So I'm looking forward to, having you guys on my show very soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
All right, brother. Take care.
Podcast City Network.